So let's take a closer look at Donald Trump's proposals. Are they really as potentially disastrous as some of his critics are suggesting? It's part of this week's installment of America's Debt and the Economy. And for it, we're joined by economist Doug Holtz-Eakin, former director of the Congressional Budget Office, former chief economic advisor to the McCain presidential campaign in 2008, and currently president of the American Action Forum. Doug, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So, Mr. Trump, the first time he answered this question about handling debt on CNBC, he said, quote, "I would borrow knowing that if the economy crashed, you could make a deal." What does that mean to you, and what would the consequences be?
What it means to me is America does not pay on time, and it does not pay in full. And that's unthinkable.
That's what would cause the economy crashing in his construct.
If we didn't pay on time, two things would happen. First, we would be a pariah borrower, right? If you don't pay your debts, you don't get lent to again. And if you do, interest rates are higher. So that's a cost every American bears for a long time to come. But more importantly, the global financial system is built on the notion that U.S. Treasuries are absolutely safe assets, that you can sell one at any time, you can buy it and be sure you'll get your money back. If he were to put a crack into that foundation, the global financial system would crater, and we would have global economic recession.
He's basically suggesting we default on the debt, and then we say, okay, Japan, okay, China, we'll give you back, I'm making this up, this isn't his words, but we'll pay you back 75 cents on the dollar.
Like that. I mean, think Puerto Rico on global steroids. It would be unimaginable. And that's what the proposal was.
And what does it mean to the average American? What would it do?
To the average American, it means take the Great Recession we just went through and imagine something much, much worse, so your jobs go away. And when we finally recover, we live with a higher borrowing cost. It hampers the ability to finance every house, every car, every durable good in America.
And then this morning, right here on CNN, Mr. Trump said that the United States would never default on its debt, quote, because you print the money. Is that true? And what would that mean for the average American, that policy?
It would mean two things. First is he would have to say, dear Janet Yellen over at the Federal Reserve, please print some money and buy this debt. And that would break the independence of the Fed, which has been a foundation of our economic success. So now he's running the Fed out of the White House, not a good thing. Number two, it leads to inflation. And so every American who bought a Treasury security and put it away for their retirement, they get $100 back. Now the $100 only buys, a Snickers bar. That cuts into the standard of living. High inflation and high debt are not a good combination.
One of the things that I've heard from Trump supporters on social media is, and maybe I should stop reading social media, but that's not.
Those are your news sources?
That's another story. But one of the pushbacks is, hey, what about quantitative easing? How is we'll print more money any different from quantitative easing without getting too wonky? What is the difference between the two, if you can?
Quantitative easing is the Fed purchasing assets, don't have to be treasuries. In fact, some are mortgage-backed securities, for purposes of pumping money into the banking system. This is buying a particular treasury security for the sole purpose of having the money to repay. And so it means that you have lost the ability to tax the economy, which is typically how we repay, and you've lost the ability to have the economy grow and pay it back. So you're in a very bad place when you're starting to print money for the purpose of repaying debt.
So it's not the same thing?
It's not even close to the same thing.
All right. And lastly, in our most recent CNN ORC poll of registered voters nationwide, Donald Trump beats Hillary Clinton on how he would handle the economy, 50% to 45%. What do you think voters see in his economic policy that they like, if you can speculate?
Well, first of all, this is a horse race in the loser's bracket of the economic tournament because, she hasn't gotten anything to grow the economy. He hasn't produced much in proposals to grow the economy. They're picking between, really some undesirable economic options at this point. I think the thing they see the most is he's talking about issues that Americans care about. I mean, people are worried about China. People are worried about trade. They're worried about our place in the world. I don't endorse the solutions. Obviously, this debt thing is a bad idea. But he is talking about the issues they care about. And I think that's why they notice him.
All right. Thank you so much. A little truth into this presidential debate. We appreciate it. Doug Holtz-Eakin, thank you so much.